At least it's not raining.
What'd you say?
At least it's not raining.
It's not raining. Yeah, we won't have that happening today. So we've given this presentation quite a number of times. We've given it to the dealers and the media, and we even had Wall Street investment bankers in this morning, celebrities, you name it. But this is our favorite audience right here. Yeah. You know, you guys appreciate it more than anybody else. I mean, you guys live it. So how many of you watched the live stream, either live or almost live? So you recognize some of what Phil said.
Yeah.
Right? It was very familiar, and the only way we can keep doing this is to run the scripts that we already have and the video that we already have. So you're going to get a flavor of it. So I'll follow along the script so the video works, but I may deviate here and there where it might be interesting or new for you guys. So anyway, we knew this was the right time to move to mid-engine. We've actually known it for a while. We've been reaching the limits through C6 and through C7. We were increasingly convinced that we weren't going to be able to just keep staying the course with the front engine design. And of course, expanding the performance envelope was one challenge. We could have done that a long time ago. Zora wanted to do it. You know, he wanted to do one of those experimental cars out there, screw everything else. Let's just get performance with the engine in the back and just make it the fastest car possible. But the Corvette also has to be beautiful, functional, and attainable. When Zora was making his arguments to leadership, he was actually arguing for a cost us no option car. Like, he wanted just give me the checkbook, let me go do it. It'll be the best sports car ever. It'll make GM proud. And he got pushed back, slammed into his place. No, this is a business. We're selling 40,000 a year. What do you understand about that? We're going to stay the course. So our task was not just to do that mid-engine car, but mid-engine plus everything else. We had to develop a new sports car that combines all the things that you guys appreciate about the car today and add the performance and excitement of a mid-engine supercar. And we always want to meet requirements all around the world. I did a very subtle announcement last night. To meet those requirements, including right-hand drive, and it seemed like it was dead silence in the room. It's hard to hear actually from here, but it seemed like dead silence, so I had to tell them that was news, folks. That was huge. I'm sure all the people in Australia raised a beer. They're coming to the southern hemisphere. So that was fun to be able to do that. And one of the reasons we're doing it, you haven't seen any spy shots, but you will. Pretty soon. It's very hard to camouflage a steering wheel on the right-hand side. We had this brainstorm putting a steering wheel on both sides.
Batmobile.
But we didn't think that would work very well either. So you can't camo that. We're going to start working on a right-hand drive car, and so I'm sure that people will be blowing up the first time they see a spy shot of a right-hand drive car. So, big challenges. We didn't want to do this mid-engine car and let you down in any way. So it had to be everything we do well today and step it up from there, and we had to execute that perfectly on our first try. So I showed this is something we've stressed about for many, many years. How are we going to do this? How are we going to get all the answers we need, not stub our toe in everything, get all the answers. So, we spent a lot of time working on our computer models, getting them up to speed. We wanted to synthesize and integrate all the solutions for body structure and aero and thermal management, crashworthiness, crash-worthiness is a whole different deal when you put the engine in the back. So that includes a bunch of challenges in itself. And so, and a bunch more stuff than that. We showed a bunch of images. You can see some of them back here of some of that simulation work. And I don't know, I think we're just going to show a video of some of the augmented reality that we showed last night. But I got a lot of feedback that people thought that was really a cool way to show stuff. So I talked about the physics, about why putting the engine behind the driver lets us make this big giant leap. And we wanted to make sure that we didn't just put the engine in the back. We wanted to figure out how do you leverage that to the maximum advantage to make sure you really get that quantum leap. So it kind of starts with the steering. That's your main interface with the car. I talked last night about the very short, straight, stiff steering system. It makes the, I think it's 50% stiffer than today's car, and it means when you move the wheel, the front moves over immediately. The turn in on this car is incredible. The fact that you're sitting so far forward, I said last night, you sit basically on top of the car center of gravity. You actually sit slightly forward in the center of gravity. So when you turn into a turn, the car rotates right around you, and you actually ride that front axle in, and you're moving in the same direction of the car. And that completely changes the perception of the vehicle handling. Even some of us that were skeptical early on that we would get that are total believers now. We spent a lot of time going back and forth between the cars. No disrespect for today's car, it's awesome, but we've really accomplished something with this. So the thing that surprised us, one of us things that I mentioned last night also was we were surprised at how we could use things like higher spring rates, tie down the dampers more, and actually get better ride quality. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that you're sitting right on that center of gravity. And so whether the car is rotating in the plan view in a turn, or in the side view, when you're sitting on that center of gravity, the ends of the car can be moving all over the place, hitting a pothole or whatever, and you don't feel it. So we can actually tie the car down more and still have great ride quality. The other thing that I was paranoid, honestly, from the beginning, I grew up in a Porsche family, actually. My dad had Porsches, so I knew about trailing throttle oversteer, and so I was a little bit paranoid. Okay, we're put all this weight in the back, GM doesn't have a lot of expertise on this. How are we going to make sure that the car handles really benignly, really progressively? So this was a mission we took on from early on, try to figure this out, make sure everything we thought might have something to do with that kind of handling, even with this weight distribution. We studied that intently, and we built early mules and things to validate our engineering assumptions. So the bottom line is we really want to take advantage of everything that's good about having that much weight on the back, but none of the drawbacks, none of the things we were afraid of. So, we did tons of work on the suspension geometry, pushing compliances, tire construction. We have the biggest stagger front to rear that we've ever had, 245 in the front, 305 in the back, and then worked all the little details, and the car really came together kind of at the very last end. It's actually still being worked because we're not quite done yet. We're getting close, and we know and we say confidently, and that's why we're saying it publicly. The final result is magic. It's incredible the way the car handles. It's better than we thought we'd be. We knew it could probably be pretty good, but it's actually better than we thought. Today's car, like I said, is completely awesome in a lot of ways, but when you go back to back, you can really appreciate the difference. It really does feel super comfortable, super nimble, and it never puts a foot wrong. It feels really, really stable. So the body structure is an interesting thing because we actually cut our teeth on aluminum structures way back in the C6 days, starting with the Z06, and then we made that aluminum structure standard, brought it in-house, built in Bowling Green, and so we did a lot of technical learnings on aluminum and bonded-on composite body structures on a front-engine car. So we kind of took that level of risk and challenge off the table, put it in production on the C7. So that was a huge learning step going forward to doing this all-new car. We kind of had a lot of that understood and what we needed to do. One of the things we learned is that you really need premium aluminum construction. So you don't want a construction made of 1,000 tiny little pieces. And if you look at some of the exotics, the cheapest way to make aluminum parts is extrude them. So you extrude parts, you cut them, and you weld them together. And so you end up with this jigsaw puzzle that's mostly consisting of welds. It's a bunch of joints. It's a low-cost way to do it, but it's not the best technical way to do it. We knew that the best way to do it was use high-pressure die castings, and I talked about it last night. We designed the car, developed it with some of the biggest die castings in the world. 6 of them, and you can see them in the animation. Take up huge chunks of the body structure, which means no joints, no welding. When you weld on material, it gets weaker and uncertain as to what the material properties are. The car is almost all glued and screwed together, so structural adhesive and redundant mechanical fasteners, very dimensionally capable and super stiff. But the key was getting to these large castings. And when we went to actually go out and source these castings, nobody wanted to do it. There was nobody in the world who wanted to build castings this large to our requirements at the volumes we planned to sell this car. And so we had to do it ourselves. We actually had to insource. We had to go to the leadership of the company and say, this is an important business for us. Nobody else is going to do it. We have to do it ourselves. And so that's an example of something that we really decided to vertically integrate, make that capability part of GM's capability. And we ended up buying all the raw equipment and learning how to do this. And we actually installed it in Bedford, Indiana, in a plant that makes blocks, aluminum blocks, castings, head castings, things like that. And now they've extended their capability into high pressure die castings. It's great for us, and it's a great learning for General Motors because you'll end up seeing us be able to have that capability in other kinds of cars. Like I said, when you have castings that big, you don't have any joints. That makes the car super robust in all the crash situations. It lets us tailor the materials to a very fine degree. You can cast these parts to very thin walls. You put all the material exactly where it needs to be for maximum stiffness and minimum mass. And as we all know, and every time we do a new Corvette, we preach this, the stiffer the body structure, the better the suspension can work, and the better the vehicle handling. Now we've done open air cars exclusively since the C4 with the removable roofs, and we wanted to keep that up. So we have used this backbone structure strategy since 1997 with the C5. But you can't just take that and apply it directly to a mid-engine car. The paths that get the structure to that center backbone and away from it back to the shock towers has to be very, very different. The engine in the back is right in the way. The front wheels are tucked forward right under your dead pedal. So there's not a good way to route structure the way we've done historically. So we had to completely redefine the way we use that architectural backbone. And it's made this the Corvette, the stiffest Corvette we've ever done by quite a good margin, and substantially stiffer than other convertible mid-engines we benchmark against. So you'll notice that great structural feel, but one of the advantages of that center backbone is a lot of mid-engine cars have very high rockers because they use these big tubs for the center section. And so we put all our structure right down the center line. So the step over height is similar to, see how good I get in that thing? It's like, I'm old. It's pretty easy to get in and out of. So the rocker height is similar to what you've had on Corvette, and is better than a lot of kind of exotic mid-engine cars. As is typical for a Corvette, we don't say we're going to make everything out of one thing or another. We've been a composite-based car since 1953. And so we let the parts tell us what they should be made out of. And so we use aluminum for the base structure, but we use innovative materials throughout the vehicle, making up a mosaic. And some of our displays back here showcase some of those, all those materials. So I talked a lot last night about luggage capacity, and I doubt there's ever been a high-performance sports car presentation where they spend so much time on luggage capacity. But we really wanted to make sure that we kept the utility that people had and got used to. So, as we talked about last night, we have both front storage and a rear storage compartment. And those big components we make out of this new super ultra lightweight fiberglass. Very lightweight fiberglass, proprietary resin from one of our suppliers. And it's so light, we actually have bricks of it back here shaped like what we call speed shapes. You can actually pick it up. You can feel how light it is compared to other composite materials, magnesium, aluminum, steel. You can actually feel the density. And this is the first time we've had these structural composites that are so light they'll actually float in water. Even a solid brick will float in water, which is pretty amazing. And it's a place where we're just advancing. When you first look at the car, you might not appreciate that that's a true advancement. It's under the skin, but it's a true advancement that lets us just keep constantly at the state of the art for these exotic materials. So speaking of the luggage compartments, we knew this would be important. Obviously, we spend a lot of time with you at Corvette events. We see how you fill the back end of today's car. You're going to bring all this stuff with you. We started spoiling you with the C5, where you can put tons of stuff in the back, and we wanted to do as good a job as we could getting you all that luggage space. So that was one of the tricky things we had to solve, is how do we put luggage space and put room for all the other componentry required of a modern car and a mid-engine car. It's a very different formula than what we've had ever before. So we're pretty proud of the luggage volume. In fact, if you took the luggage compartments and just filled them with water, it holds the same. The shapes are different, but the volumes are about the same. And I mentioned last night the 5-piece luggage set that we custom designed as an accessory that fits in this car also. And another material that we have an example of back here is the automotive world's first curved, pull-through carbon fiber bumper beam. So on the 7th generation car, we put our premium materials in the front and up high. So the hood was carbon fiber, the roof was carbon fiber. In this car, we really want to take weight off the back. So it's completely the opposite problem. So instead of having the battery in the back, we move it to the front to try to move the weight distribution forward a little bit. Very trailing edge of the car, we have this protruded carbon. You can back and feel it up. Even compared to aluminum, which is a premium material, it's much lighter. So we're very proud of the luggage volume we've accomplished, and look forward to you guys being able to use this car in all the ways that you use it now. Super important that we keep that bandwidth, not just pure track machine, but great daily driver, great long distance tour. I know a lot of people do that. I do that. Want to make sure that you can travel in comfort and style and bring all your stuff with you. So that's part of the lifestyle of owning a Corvette. So we're also bringing back more customizability than ever. We have the modes that you've kind of gotten used to: weather, tour, sport, track. But we have actually more knobs to turn to make those more different, more customizable. So the car changes character more. Again, more bandwidth. And then we introduced last night that we have this Z mode that gives you one button access to everything you can vary in the car. So stuff you've never been able to change before, you can adjust and make exactly to your own specification, and it's there for you anytime you want to hit the button. Now if you choose never to do that, and you just leave it in the factory defaults, it doesn't do nothing. It gives you like a super sport kind of mode. It's like halfway between sport and track. So it livens the car up at a press of a button, and I bet a lot of people will never change it. They'll just like that kind of super sport mode, but if you want to make it completely your own, you can do that. Of course, we have Z51 track package coming back. It's even more important now. We've talked about it, but we didn't even mention it last night. We were so compressed for time last night. But we actually, the standard car comes with all-season tires. It's Michelin's highest performance ever all-season tire, so it's truly a sports car tire. Corners at about 1G, and it's a 4-season tire. It rides really good. It's an exceptional, kind of a new age tire. And I can remember back in the C4 days when we first approached 1G cornering, and it took a rock-hard suspension, an ox cart ride. The car was just brutal to try to get to 1G. Now we do it in the comfort of a standard suspension with all-season tires. It's amazing how far technology has come. So that's the standard. Then the Z51 has summer performance tires, and because the architecture itself is so capable, we're actually able to back away a little from the intensity, the exotic nature of the tires. So you know how in today's car, when it chatters when it's cold because the tires are cold, they have a different stick-slip phenomenon? Gone.
There we go. Well, for some of us,
you wouldn't think, okay, mid-engine versus front engine, would that even, why would that have anything to do with that? Well, it does. And we don't have to lean on the tires quite as hard. They can be better, more progressive, more well-rounded, and still get all the performance. This car's faster. Trust me, this car's faster on a track in every situation than the current Stingray C51. So in addition to that, of course, you get larger brakes. The ELSD, which has been super effective, made famous actually on the 7th generation car. You get more cooling and aero. This is the Z51 car here, so you get the splitter and this rear spoiler. And the Z51 actually creates full vehicle downforce, which the current Stingray Z51 does not. So it's 400 pounds of downforce at 180 miles an hour, and it makes the car super stable on the track. In addition to the chassis I was talking about, this car is such a quick learn. It's amazing. It's going to be great. I was telling Ron Fellows who was here last night, I was like, this is going to be such an awesome school car. Everybody's going to be a hero as soon as they get in it. They're just going to love it. The LSD, because you have more weight on the back, is actually more effective than ever. It has more authority over the vehicle dynamics. So we're really able to leverage that tool to a degree that we have never done before. It makes the car super stable in corners, and you can put the power down really early. PTM has been refined. We invented PTM. Now you find it on other cars. We've made it more consistent across a wider range of conditions. And the bottom line, I think you're hoping you're getting the idea. This car is going to be a joy to drive. We're looking forward to getting a third party, the media in the cars, this fall, and we're confident enough that last night we're bragging to them that this is what you're going to experience. We don't do that unless we're quite confident that they really are going to experience that. If they don't, they hit you hard. And so we're confident enough to proclaim that we're quite confident they're going to enjoy themselves out there with this car. We also have a new electrical architecture. It's much faster. Since the signal's faster, it actually gives us the capability to do a lot of things kind of in higher resolution than we've ever done before. In cybersecurity, you hear about it, but until it affects you, you don't think much of it. But someday there's going to be a cybersecurity attack on a vehicle, and when that happens, I don't think it's going to be a GM car, because we have this new cybersecurity electronic architecture, and then all of a sudden it's going to be super important. Everybody's going to be super worried about how secure is my car. And then over-the-air reflash capability. Every time we introduce a new Corvette and a new feature, a new this or a new that, first hand goes up. Can I get that on my car? Last year's car? Everybody wants backwards compatibility. And we can't always do it, but now we have the capability of actually doing calibration changes, continuous improvements, things like that can be done over the air. So a huge benefit. Very good. How many people have used the performance data recorder? So we kind of invented that, pioneered that, and we're bringing out the second generation now, which has 1080p recording, and we're starting with a database of track start finish lines. So for most tracks, you won't even have to program them in. And then we had a lot of customer requests for point-to-point recording, so an autocross, for example, where you don't end at the same place you start. That was a request, and so we worked with Cosworth to do that. And then the Cosworth toolkit that will come out with it will also be significantly enhanced from today. And then a lot of people have said, why can't I just make it act like a dash cam? And we're offering that as well. It'll just start up and record whenever you're driving, overwrite, so you don't have to hit a button. You can prove you were right at the scene of the accident. Very nice.
That's important.
So other features we have is the Bose audio. We have a demo back here. You can actually listen to it if you want. One of the coolest features is this camera rear view mirror. Once you get used to it, you can't go back. It's a very high resolution picture. You can go back and forth. It can be a conventional mirror or a digital mirror. There's a lot of lighting conditions where the camera can see better than your eye can. And we mount the camera that drives it on the roof of the car, so it's forward and high. And that means you get a great view of your blind zones. You can zoom it in if you want, so you can see if the car way behind you has a light bar on it, or go wide angle. Wide angle. See the corner, see your blind zone, or any use case you could think of. So the biggest applause line last night was our front lift system. It's especially appropriate for mid-engine cars because the front tires come back. The front overhang is typically longer, ours a little bit longer. We try to keep it at a minimum. But the ramp angles, if you got a steep driveway, this is going to be wonderful. Up to 2 inches increase, 1,000 locations in memory. And it's even smarter to know that you're approaching a bump fast or slow. If you're approaching slow, it'll wait till the last minute to lift it up. If you're approaching fast, it'll say, oh, it'll pick it up, start picking it up earlier. Saying you're not paying attention to what you're doing, it'll start picking it up earlier. So really cool feature, and everybody quickly appreciated that one. We have an engine demo here, and if you wanted to go look at it, you can talk to Jordan Lee. He's our chief engineer for the engine. We work hand in hand on every Corvette, optimizing the performance of the small block. Everybody seemed really happy last night that weren't going to a small V6 turbo or, God help us, a 4-cylinder turbo. Staying with a naturally aspirated V8. Yeah. Sort of bucking the trend, bucking the powers that be of what people would like us to do, but we try to listen to you rather than other people. So we're very happy that's coming back, almost 500 horsepower. The new Dryson system is, I talked about it last night, you can see the display here. It's been completely bulletproof on the track. The engines have been super reliable. That's one thing we're really happy to have, and it's a nice touching point for people who think, oh my God, they're changing too much stuff with this mid-engine. Well, there's the small block sitting right in the heart of the car. Very familiar, and it's really cool to hear it. You'll recognize the exhaust sound immediately, and it's really cool to hear that engine coming from behind you. It's very, very, very fun. So we can skip past the rest of the engine stuff, get on to the DCT. So when people started putting DCTs in production, one of the questions we got asked all the time was, when are you going to have a DCT? Even when people didn't even know what a DCT was. Like, when are you going to have a DCT? And so, it's based on the media reports. And there's good things about DCTs and bad things about DCTs. And the DCTs can be wonderful, but to do everything well, to have that real crisp, engaging mechanical shift quality, immediacy on the paddle, and have it be a perfectly smooth automatic like transmission is a big challenge. We worked with our supplier of the current manual transmission, Tremec, and we designed one from scratch for this car. Completely blank sheet of paper, and it meets our requirements. There was nothing in the world that would stand up behind this new motor and fit in this architecture. We slammed it down to the ground. It really needed to be compact so we could have the rear luggage volume. So we had to do a DCT ourselves. And the net result, partly because of the electrical architecture, the super fast response times, this thing works exactly like you would dream it could. It's really, really wonderful, very engaging, and it has a lot of features that can be operated like a manual transmission. So if you're a manual fan, you'll find a lot to like. It's not exactly the same as a manual, but there's a lot to like about this transmission. We set it up with 8 speeds, first gear, gets you out of the hole unbelievably quickly. It comes off the line harder than any car we've ever done. We set up 2 through 6 for track work, so it keeps the engine on the power peak on any track in the world. And then, like a Corvette tradition, you shift it up in the 7th or 8th, and the car can be quiet, and the engine runs slow, and you get good fuel economy, good range. Or if you put it in track mode or pump up the exhaust, you can have a nice verbal as you motor down the road. And I think one of the biggest drop the mic episodes last night was when we announced 0 to 60 under 3 seconds. I think that came as a little bit of a surprise to people. So that's the combination. This engine, the torque curve, the area under the torque curve, the way we set up the transmission, the rear weight bias, it's off the line like crazy, 0 to 60 under 3 seconds. So we're pretty darn proud of that. That's one of the few true performance metrics we shared last night, and there'll be more coming. So we're saving some more for later. So we'll keep the pot boiling. More news. There's lots of technical stories that we haven't covered yet on this car, but more will be coming out. Keep you guys entertained until you can get yours.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, show of hands, how many people, I sort of wrapped it up last night saying, we can always change the car, but the bottom line, it's 2-passenger, road-going private jet, it'll take you anywhere you want to go. How many of you guys are buying that? Are you guys Think it's okay? How many people think it's definitely the wrong thing? Nobody's willing to. Oh, no, I'll talk to you after.
The hood's too short.
So anyway, I hope you enjoyed what Phil and I had to present. We tried to put a little bit of different spin on what you saw last night. And like I said, you guys are our favorite audience. We're glad you came out. And please check out the rest of the stuff we have to show to you. Thanks.